What's up, guys? It's Little What If Wolf Alpha back with another video, and today I'm doing what if Naruto here could lava bend. And when I mean lava bend, I mean Legend of Korra lava bend. And if you're asking, yes, he will have lava release, but he won't need hand signs to do anything because, you know, they use taijutsu, not really taijutsu in Avatar, but taijutsu in Naruto, taijutsu forms to manipulate the water, the elements or ability. And yes, he can metal bend. He will. Well, I might have him metal bend, but I'm pretty sure I will. And he can earth bend, but he prefers lava bending due to him being able to become liquid. It's like a liquid, so he can manipulate it better than normal earth or lava. And if he touches something, it'll turn to lava if he infuses his chakra into that. So it'll turn to lava, and then he can manipulate it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I haven't been posting because my tablet is saying, no, you cannot post that. So, I finally got my tablet to work. Thank the Lord. Okay, let's get straight into it. So, when Naruto is born, he still gets Kurama, as well as, but things happen during the Kurama attack, the attack of the tailed beast. One, when Naruto gets scared and starts crying, and when the claw comes down at Minato and Kushina, a wall of earth just comes up when Naruto's wailing his hands around. So a weird wall of earth happens, and then they look around to see Naruto, and then when Naruto puts his hand down and stops crying and calms down, the wall goes down. So they think, okay, maybe he can handle the Nine Tails. So then instead of Minato sealing half and half, half inside of Naruto and half inside of Minato, in himself, he seals half into Naruto and half into Kushina so that Kushina won't die. Because they do know Naruto will need someone to teach him how to use this thing. And let's say there's a rare Kage Genkai that the Namikaze clan has that allows them to manipulate Earth using taijutsu form. But Naruto is going to be the first. Is Naruto the mixture of the Uzumaki genes and the Namikaze genes supercharges it to where they can manipulate anything with earth in it, being metal or lava, anything that has earth in it, they can control. Even if it's the most pure, the most toughest metal. It's the hardest to manipulate, but it can be manipulated. So if you're asking, yes, if you're thinking, yes, it will take Naruto's chakra to do so, but very little if he learns to do it right. So pretty much, so Kushina never dies because she still has the tail beast in her. So pretty much, I looked it up. When a tail beast is extracted out of the owner, if they get it within a certain amount of time, I think it's an hour, they won't die. But if they don't, they will die, but their body will start to die until they get the tail beast back in their body. So Naruto will have the mean half as per usual, and Kushina will have the nice half, which means that Kushina will have more information on the tailed beast due to, well, the nice half actually trying to make friends with Kushina. Well, Kushina trying to make friends with the nice half, which doesn't fail. So people still give them glares because they still know they're the Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki, and that they think it's their fault that it's that. But every time they give a Naruto, Kushina doesn't care if they give her looks, but the moment she notices you give Naruto a look, and Naruto's like 2 years old, and he's like playing around while walking. You know that one kid that's always like playing while walking and like talking, and they shoot him a glare, and Naruto starts to cry because, well, Naruto's still a child, so he gets scared and he starts to cry. Kushina will give him a look full of bloodlust and letting Kubi chakra run out, saying if you do that again, you will die. And then starts comforting Naruto. So people still hate Naruto, but they know they can't do nothing about it. So when Naruto was 4 years old, the ability to manipulate Earth comes back. Now it skipped the gene, so it skipped Minato and went straight to Naruto. So Minato's parents had the gene. If that makes sense. If there's anything you need me to clarify, let me know, and I'll do it in the next video, part 2. And if you're asking my other what ifs, I'm holding off on them because 1, I think I can do a little better, and 2, I just think that I'm not doing my best, like I just said. So I'm going to put more detail into what I'm saying, and no, I cannot script because I don't have the proper materials currently, but I will start scripting eventually if you guys say I should script and that I'm stuttering too much, because I'm going off of what I think can happen due to me finishing Korra just like yesterday and finished Naruto like years ago, and I'm still rewatching it, and I just got into Shippuden. So if you want this to go all the way into Shippuden and all the way through Naruto and go to Boruto, I will do that. Even though I don't like Boruto, I will do anything that you guys want me to, as long as I think it's cool. Like if you want me to make it Naruto x Sakura, I'm gonna be like no, because in every single one of my what ifs, Sakura is going to die because she's too trash, and I don't think it would be she would be very beneficial to the team. Okay, so yeah, whatever. I'm sorry for what I said. I had to pause because I had to look something up because I forgot something really quick. So let's just get back into the story. So Naruto wants to learn how to control it because sometimes when he gets really mad, the earth around him would start levitating, and every time he moved his hands, the earth would go someplace. So he wants to control it. So then, first Naruto, in order to learn to master what the Genkai known as earth manipulation, if you want, I'll just call it earth bending. You need to you need to know how to do normal earth style. So Naruto's affinities will be earth sorry about that. Will be earth, obviously, because he can manipulate the earth. 2 would probably be fire due to lava bending. Earth and fire makes lava, so. And water and wind. So does that make all 5? I'm confused. No, it doesn't. He has 4 of the 5 because he doesn't have lightning. And no, if you think, but that's too overpowered. I'm giving Naruto what I want. If you don't like this, get off my not get off my channel, but get out of my comments, because I'm not gonna reply or do anything about it, because I want him to have these chakra natures, because I like these chakra natures. Lightning sucks in my opinion, but if you do think, and no, he will not learn flying Raijin, because I do not want him with that, because 1, he doesn't have lightning release, and 2, Naruto's fighting style is literally staying still. He literally just stays still and manipulates the earth to attack. He doesn't move much with his fighting style. He's a long distance fighter, and he will make up for it with Kenjutsu, and Taijutsu. He knows 0 Genjutsu because he doesn't, and he's very proficient with seals. So, first Naruto learns Mud Wall and Stone Shot and Stone Bullet, which is, if you don't know what Stone Bullet is, it's when you shoot stones out of your mouth and they grow into like giant boulders if you know how to distribute the chakra right, and they attack the opponent. Now, that's pretty much all the Naruto needs to know, because you need to know at least, and I'm just going to say you need to know at least 2 normal jutsus in order to learn the Genkai. So after Naruto learns this, a year later, he starts to master Earth, and one day, while they were training, because Danzo wants his Genkai because he thinks it would be beneficial, Danzo sends Anbu. So when they throw the shuriken and kunais, before Kushina can do anything, Naruto puts his hands out, and then the kunai stop. Like he puts his hand out in fear, because you know, like when like say like Deku, how Deku like put his hand out when trying to like plead to Bakugo, stop, please, Bakugo, stop. I didn't mean anything by it. And though that was not a Deku impression, I was just saying what Deku usually says. Yeah. So, and then the tsunai stops. But then, and then the thought pops into Naruto's head that he can control metal as well. And this one, Naruto's really smart. So then he starts thinking while it's still like there. So he's like thinking in his head, so I can control the earth inside of metal. So this kind of like makes Naruto like think, okay, so maybe, okay, I'm sorry about that. Maybe I can attack with it. So then he like puts, and then he turns around, kind of like how Toph jumped up and turned around with the two earthbenders slammed into them and slammed them into the cage. First, Naruto makes 3 walls, right? And then he takes the kunai, spins them around, and not throws them, but metal bends them back at the opponent, right back at the Anbu. So the Anbu is having trouble dodging because, well, Naruto can just re-pick up the kunai if they deflect it. So they're getting hit with kunai after kunai. And then I'd say they threw about 20 kunai at Naruto. Like, they just spam through kunai. And then Naruto takes out to ask his mom to throw a few shuriken. So when she throws those shuriken, Naruto controls them as well, which is starting to make Naruto get exhausted because he's controlling so much at one time. So it's kind of like how if King overused if he said Spirit, Chastity Fold, 3rd configuration increase, and he makes too many spears, it starts to drain his magical power a lot quicker. It's the same with metal bending. So pretty much and then after Naruto does that, Naruto makes a wall of earth, and then chucks that, like pushes it at them, and it makes them get stuck in the cage. That the 4 pillars that's made the cage that Naruto created before. And that's pretty much that. Now, that's pretty much that encounter, and then Naruto earth bends the thing up so that like the cage ups, and then just everyone just sees a kid in some weird position constantly moving this thing, this thing with 4 thing, the demon moving in some weird position, moving some weird cage looking thing. And then Naruto gets back to the Hokage office and puts the cage down and opens it where the Anbu are out. And then Kushina uses a jutsu, I'm just gonna call it Uzumaki seal, memory chain, or like no memory theater. So she touches both of their foreheads, which then a seal appears, which then a whole bunch of, like, you know how in the cinema they have that little tape thing that shows every single action? That's pretty much what comes out, and then they get to the point where Danzo told them to kidnap Naruto, and so he can have their Kekkei, so that he can get their Kekkei Genkai, or sell him to Orochimaru. And then this is where Danzo was told is going to be executed, and then so this is pretty much how it's gonna go. They cut off Danzo's arm, being as though that's where all the Sharingans and stuff are, and he knows Izanagi. So he uses that for Izanagi. So he cuts that off. They cut that off. So Danzo can't use Izanagi. No more than once. So when Danzo uses Izanagi, they just throw him back in the cage and puts jutsu ceilings just in case he has any more. Like, Izanagi is still a jutsu, so if you put a jutsu seal on something, they cannot, like, they cannot activate Izanagi anymore because the thing is sealing jutsu. And then they execute him. And yes, Danzo is killed. He is no more, which means the Anbu Black Ops still is without people to support them. And then the Hokage says, "How about this, Kushina? You take over the Anbu." So Kushina does so, being as though they can get out of that weird apartment that they're in and actually move into a better house for Naruto with a training ground and everything. So Naruto is about 5 or 6 years old, right? And he learned how to control metal better, and he also learned how to turn earth to lava, and then lava to earth. And then he knows how to, and so pretty much Naruto pretty much got a grasp of how his abilities work. And Naruto is actually around, oh my god, sorry guys, give me a second. God, I thought I was gonna puke for a second. No, I do not have corona. I just didn't feel good for a second, and I'm kind of hungry. So I'm trying to finish this up as quickly as possible without making it seem like I'm rushing. So Naruto is 6 years old, because he was 5 when I said a year time skip. So he's 6 years old, and Kushina goes to the Uzumaki compound and literally just goes there and gets a sword specially crafted from Uzumaki metal, which is the strongest metal on the planet known on the planet. So it's kind of like vibranium in Black Panther, but a little bit more durable. And yes, I am using references from a lot of either animes or cartoons or movies because I just don't know how to describe it the best as in a good way, so I'm just using what I know. And Naruto and Naruto one day is training on being able to convert anything he touches into lava, because that's going to be one of his keen abilities. Which even means people. He can turn people into lava, but he chooses not to. He did it once on an Anbu member that wanted revenge because they really not really loved, but cared for Danzo, and he turned them to lava. Which made Naruto have his first kill at the age of 5. Oh my god. So, and when she gets home, she says, "Hey Naruto, I have a surprise for you," because it's Naruto's birthday. And Naruto thought Kushina forgot and he was like, "Oh well, it is what it is. She probably forgot because she's always busy on missions and dealing with the Anbu." And then she comes in with a weird packaged gift that looks like one big stick. So when Naruto unwraps it, it's a sword. It's not really a Tanjiro sword, but like an Ichigo sword. All black, just like Ichigo's Bankai. So if you don't know what that is, look up Ichigo's Bankai. So that's pretty much what the sword looks like, but it has fox symbols, symbols of the Uzumaki clan symbol on it, and then there's a fox symbol. And if you don't know what I'm implying, the fox symbol is because Naruto, I'm not gonna spoil it. So Naruto says, so you got me a sword, and then he realizes the sheath is his favorite color, orange, and the blade is black. Orange and black is Naruto's favorite colors, if you did not know. And right after this, he hears a voice saying, "Huh, so the blade has a fox on it. Interesting." And then he says, "Who's there?" And Kushina thinks, so Kurama finally decided to speak to Naruto. So then she tells Naruto to meditate with her, and then they go, kind of let her guide him into his mindscape, kind of like how Korra was guided by that airbender into the spirit world. She was got into his mindscape, and he meets Kurama. And then the first thing Naruto acts with, he still fears the nine-tailed beast in front of him, and then he says, you know what? You're still a living thing, right? So what's your name? Maybe we can be friends. Which shocks Kushina and Kurama, because Naruto thought of him as a living being instead of just a weapon to be used. Instead of demanding power, he asked for his name. And then when he says, "Huh, kid, you're interesting. My name is Kurama. Don't you forget it." And then he says, "Wow, such an interesting name. You know what? I like that name, Kurama." And then he says, "Well, I hope we can be friends." So that made Kurama kind of open up and stop messing with Naruto's chakra pools, because yes, Naruto is having trouble with chakra control, but who wouldn't? You have a nine-tailed beast inside of you who is full of hatred. Give me a second. Okay, so since Kurama stopped messing with his chakra pool, he can actually make a clone with little to no difficulty. And Kushina decides to teach him Shadow Clone Jutsu at the age of 6. And we're gonna skip to where Naruto enrolls in the academy. And right when he walks up to the gates of the academy, Sakura says, "Why is a demon here?" And then Naruto says, "And why is trash here?" And this enrages Sakura, so when Sakura goes to punch Naruto literally just does what Aang did to Sokka, and just put an earth pillow up, which that Sakura ran into, and then put it down. And then Naruto says, so maybe your forehead is good for something. Then Sakura gets knocked out, and Kushina's just over here laughing, saying, "I didn't need to do anything, did I?" And once Naruto gets in, everyone stares at him, because Naruto doesn't wear what he wears in the original. Well, he does wear that under, without the jacket, just what he wears under the jacket, but instead he wears a metal plate, like a plate completely made out of metal. And if you're asking why it looks like what the metal police force that guy that was trying to destroy the town of metal in Korra, pretty much what that guy or girl, whatever it is wearing. Kind of a mixture of that and like an armor made. If you look up metal bending armor, that whatever comes up is what I'm trying to say. And Naruto wears that over it. It's long. It has a long metal sleeve that Naruto sometimes makes into a blade that he can use. And then Naruto has his sword on his strap to the back of it, covered in not really strapped, but like there's a metal hole there that the sword sheath goes into, and then he can pull out the sword. And everyone just looking at him like he's some type of crazy man samurai thing. And then Iruka says no weapons in class, which then Naruto says okay, and then takes out a scroll, seals the sword in, and just puts the scroll, because the scroll is the same size as the sword sheath, and then just puts it back there. And when then he says, "Is that fine?" and then Iruka says, "Sure." And then he says it's the first day of class, so does anyone want to show off any jutsus they may or may not have learned? Naruto raises his hand, as well as everyone that did in canon. And so when they all went out, Sasuke does the fireball jutsu, which impresses all the girls, and they say, "Oh, fanboy! I'm gonna be a fangirl right now." It just fangirl all over Sasuke. And then when it's Shino's turn, Shino does the bug thing, a bug clone or bug spear, whatever. I don't really care. And Shikamaru does shadow paralysis on Iruka. And then it's Naruto's turn. Everyone says, well, not everyone, all the girls say, boo! And Sakura says, Demon, you might as well just not show your lame jutsu. And then this is when Naruto puts his hand on the ground and everything starts shaking. And then when Naruto put his hand up and then put it back down on the floor, a gigantic earthquake happens. And not really a gigantic one, but an earthquake around him happens. And then he stops it. And then Naruto says, that's not all. He makes a pool of lava. And then he manipulates it without using any hand signs. And Iruka's impressed because Iruka's never seen this kind of jutsu. And then he manipulates the metal on his plate and makes like blades at the end of it, makes handcuffs out of it, pretty much showing Naruto's superiority. And then Emo Lord, Edge Lord, or Emo Lord, whatever you want to call Sasuke, literally just says, hey, I should have that power, you shouldn't. Naruto says, 1, no, you can't have this power because this power is a Kekkei. 2, can you please not demand things from me or you will not like the outcome. 3, if all of you fangirls do not shut up, you're all going to be underground. And this enrages all the fangirls and Sasuke. So then Sasuke says, I challenge you to a fight. Sasuke only knowing 2 jutsu, and that's the fireball jutsu, clone jutsu, substitution jutsu, and escape jutsu. Which escape jutsu is the jutsu Sasuke uses to get out of Naruto's ropes in canon. Naruto says, sure. Then he starts weaving hand seals and says, fire style, fireball jutsu. And Naruto just puts his hands up, and then a mud wall appears, and then he pushes his 2 fists out, which then makes the mud wall attack go after Sasuke. And when Sasuke jumps up, Naruto says, gotcha. And then he says, wind style, wind bullet, which then hits Sasuke mid-air, making him fall to the ground, making a crater. And then Naruto, using a technique known as Earth Catapult from Avatar, pushing Sasuke back up into the air, only for him to teleport up there and drop kick Sasuke back down. And then he comes down right behind him and uses the metal plates, the metal that's on his like vest armor thing, and then he just makes Sasuke get handcuffed in the middle of the air before he gets on the ground. Which everyone's impressed as Naruto's completely manipulating the earth and metal without using any hand seals. This enrages Sasuke even more. He's like, you shouldn't have that power. I should. Let me down so I can beat it out of you and you can tell me how to do it. Then Naruto says, no can do. So he takes out the scroll that the sword was in, unsummons the sword, but just the blade, like the sword itself, not the sheath. And then he puts And then he puts the sword to Sasuke's throat, saying, if you ever try anything, your head will be rolling off. And then he seals it back into the scroll and puts the scroll back. This scares Sasuke because Sasuke's like, I'm sorry. Which everyone's shocked because, well, Sasuke said sorry. The edgelord said sorry. And Fugaku, who was watching on the sidelines, from the shadows, is saying, ugh, Sasuke, you're useless. Because Fugaku hates Sasuke even more because he has even worse talent than he did in canon. Sasuke has to work twice as hard, and then he says he can't even beat a demon brat. And this makes, and then after, and the thing didn't happen because Danzo was dead, so the whole Uchiha massacre didn't happen, and the Uchihas they negotiated, and they said that they will be able to run the police force as well as live in Konoha, not being separate from Konoha. So they calmed down and was happy with that, at least. And that they don't have to be exiled from everything, even though the rules never said they had to be exiled. It's just they had to live in the Uchiha Clan compound. But hey, people gotta take it, well, people gonna take it. And pretty much, sorry, I'm trying to think. So during when Team 7 first meets, when they announce the teams, yes, it's Team 7 as in canon, and no, Hinata never takes a liking to Naruto because Naruto never saved her because Naruto was at home and he wasn't feeling bad about himself. He was at home, and let's say Kiba saved her. Because he was at home, because he wasn't sulking about whatever he was sulking about that I don't remember that was in canon. So Hinata respects Naruto but doesn't like him. And they're good friends, actually. And Kiba knocked the whole I'm shy out of Hinata real quick. So Hinata speaks her mind openly. Other than when it comes to speaking to Kiba about how she feels. That's the only time she'll blush. And if you're wondering what the ship is, this is actually coming now. When they meet Kakashi, everything goes the same. Team 7, they meet Kakashi. Kakashi comes late. When Kakashi says go up to the roof, Naruto just says okay, and he uses a technique known as, it's not really like flying Raijin, but it's known as air teleportation. It's where you a Uzumaki seal that is invisible appears, is wherever you put a seal down, you can teleport there by reverse sealing yourself, reverse summoning yourself, if that makes sense. But your gust of air will be left behind where you were, so it's a mixture of body flicker and flying Raijin, but it's a watered down version of flying Raijin. But if you do want Naruto to have flying Raijin, I will make it happen. But I see Naruto using flying Raijin level 2 more than normal flying Raijin, but that's only if you want me to let him have flying Raijin. And I'm just gonna say minutes left of the scroll for Kushina on how to learn it, but Kushina said she didn't want to learn it. So what's next? So when we get up there, everything's the same, other than Sasuke wants to clear hatred from the Uchiha clan because the Uchiha massacre never happened. But Naruto, he just has a he doesn't really like Naruto because Naruto's way stronger than him. And when Sasuke tried to be friends with him, Naruto just ignored him, being as though Naruto didn't want the attention. So he doesn't really hate Naruto, but he dislikes him because of that one encounter. So then Sasuke, when everything happens the same, Naruto still wants to do the same thing. But the only difference is when Naruto is told to go home, on his way home, Sakura and Sakura's mom is like stalking him. And when Naruto unseals his sword and puts it on his back, a full bunch of kunai comes flying at him, and instead of dodging it, he just makes the kunai, he adds the kunai to his armor. Like, he just melts the kunai down, puts it to the armor, and then makes the kunai merge with the metal on the armor. Which then whatever Sakura's mother says, hey, you demon brat knocked my beautiful daughter out. Have you no shame? And then he says, but then again, she was the one who disrespected me first, and then she tried to attack me. Well, you still don't put your hands on a woman. He says, I'd never put my hands on her. And then Sakura comes at him with a punch, and Naruto just grabs his sword, doesn't even pull it out yet. But when Sakura gets right in front of him, about to punch him, he cuts Sakura in half, quite literally, like he charged up the blade with chakra and then sliced her in half. Which then Sakura, I'm tired. I am very tired. Which then kills Sakura instantly because, well, that's kind of what happened. And then he goes to his mom, and his mom and then goes to Kushina afterwards, and he explained what happened. And then Kushina said, I'll talk to the Hokage. And Naruto just gets off with a warning saying, don't kill anyone else. And the belt test happens still, but it's only Sasuke and Naruto. They do work together due to Sasuke still like kind of wanting to be Naruto's friend. So when Sasuke shot the fireball, Naruto threw like chunks, not really chunks, but like thin pieces of metal at Kakashi, and then it held him in the sky, and then made a puddle of lava and just turned it into a sphere, and then threw it at Kakashi with the fireball. And when he says they pass, Naruto says water wall jutsu, which then cancels out the lava fireball. And then Naruto says Uzu Uchiha style, combination style, fiery lava ball. And then that's the name they decided on it. I don't feel like making up a name. And then the next day, let's just say from the waterfall village, then Iruka, before they start the missions, oh my god, the Hokage Hiruzen says, hey, since Sakura passed due to unlovely circumstances, he says, looking at Naruto and then quickly looking back at Sasuke and Kakashi, we needed a new teammate here, or this team would not be considered an actual team. this one is a transfer from the waterfall village. And yeah, and then he says you may come in. And then a girl walks in, and he says this is a transfer from the waterfall village, and that she's gonna become a ninja here because she was banished from her village. And then Kurama says that's the seventh. I forgot. That's Fu, the seventh the Jinjuriki of the seven tails. And please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments and tell me her actual name, being as though I forget. So I think it's Fu, but if it's something else, please let me know. And Fu says hello, and then she looks at Naruto, and then says, hey ninth, which Lord Ninth, he says bowing down to Naruto, which kind of confuses everyone in the room. And then they say he's not a Hokage, and then Sasuke says this dobe isn't strong enough to be considered a lord. And then Fu says, well, actually, he is the lord of all the tailed beasts, Jinjuriki, because he is the Jinjuriki of the 9 tails, and I am the 7 tails, making me weaker than him. And everyone just accepts the fact that Naruto's stronger, and then they just go on with the D-rank missions. And this is where I'm going to leave it off because I am tired. I don't feel like thinking anymore. And the next thing will be the Land of Waves arc all the way into the tuning exams.